welcome back to the Northern Spotlight podcast. This is episode 2. I am your host for this evening, Sam Land, and I am joined, as always, by...
Jack.
Alex.
Jack.
James.
And Harry.
And
Harley.
Something wrong with the YouTube subtitles on that one.
And we're filming live today from Media City, the home of TV in the UK, which leads me nicely onto today's topic, TV.
Ooh, good
very
little
nice.
segue there. He was waiting for
I
that
promise I
one.
will. I promise I will talk a lot more. In
Sam's been waiting for that one all
promise.
day.
I was planning, I was up all night till 6 a.m. thinking, how can I make a good segue to TV?
That's so good.
That is so
So
Right,
good.
calm down, Lucas.
So yeah,
Where is Lucas?
yeah, we're missing a member
We're missing a member.
Unfortunately, Lucas could not make it today, so...
because he left his charger in Jack's house.
Yeah, so no one could get contact on
in
him.
our-
Jack's in
in
our
our
flat,
flat.
you
In our
mean?
flat.
Well, it's
Jack's
your
house.
room, and you
Well,
can't
no.
find his charger. So.
No. He left it in the front room.
Well, that's gone. That's gone.
It's just gone.
So we've
It's like
got
Sam's hooch.
we've got James
I
today.
I was
Uh,
working during the first podcast, so I had to miss that.
Big up to all our Nando's workers.
Big up to all
We're
the
not
Nando's
sponsored by
workers.
Nando's.
No,
Not
just
sponsored by
me.
Nando's.
Though, if you are listening, Nando's.
Why would Nando's listen
Hook us
to our
up.
podcast? It has nothing to do with chicken.
because we know people
Not-
who work at
not-
Nando's.
Not what they
Well,
know.
we'll get them to management somehow
It's
and
not
get
about.
a Nando's
It's not
sponsorship.
about chicken yet.
Yeah.
It's never going to be about chicken, guys.
No,
It's never gonna be
Nando's,
about chicken.
it's so good.
Right, so circling back round to today's actual topic, TV. Anyone got any introductory thoughts? Introductory thoughts?
Introductory.
Introductory.
All right, I can start this off. What is everybody's favourite current TV show?
What do you mean current? As in,
So, like,
Still running.
I'd say yeah, that's still running.
well,
Okay.
For me, I'd have to say Cobra Kai at the moment. I'm hyped for season 3 coming out.
Good choice.
Very good choice.
well, for me, I'd have to say Peaky Blinders, but if you have to say it all time, I'd say Game of Thrones, but that's
Okay,
finished now.
yeah,
so-
all time.
Well,
Yeah.
we're doing current.
I mean, yeah. Currently, I'd probably go with The Boys.
I still need to. I need to.
I haven't seen the. You keep
Yeah.
recommending.
I would
it to me.
recommend it.
The Boys is
100%,
really good.
100% recommend.
So is Cobra Kai though.
Cobra Kai is really
Cobra
good.
Kai's the Karate Kid one, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's-
Yeah.
It is really good,
Cobra
actually.
Kai's great.
I'd probably go for Peaky Blinders as well, to be honest. Or Lucifer.
Lucifer.
Which is technically still ongoing. They had
It
to
is,
split it for COVID, so
I think the only like recent TV show that I've watched that I can actually comment on for favourite is
It's
Sex
Minecraft.
Education.
I did enjoy
pretty
Peaky
quality show.
Peaky Blinders. Of course, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Sex Education.
yeah.
Sex Education, because they've got season 3 coming out.
Season 3
Uh,
there. I think
being
they've been
filmed.
filming.
Tell you who's
very
rumoured for Sex Education season 3 though, Margot Robbie.
Oh.
Is she?
As
to
a
play
Maeve's
his
sister,
sister.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think is
yeah.
would be a
I
I
brilliant
gotta say
casting.
it, when it first came out, that was
Yeah.
anything anyone was saying. Is
Yeah.
It looks like Margot Robbie. So on the first thing that we want to talk about is sitcoms, and mainly Friends and How I Met Your Mother.
Oh,
And
Big
Big
up
Bang
How I
And
Met
Theory.
Big
Mother.
Bang Theory. We'll touch on Big Bang Theory in a bit. But Friends and How I Met Your Mother, the two main sitcoms about a group of people,
Well,
friends.
I mean,
No,
in
Big
New
Bang
York.
Theory
Big
does.
Bang Theory
Big Bang
falls into
Theory.
that
is-
category.
So it's kind- you're coming- we're gonna put Big Bang Theory in
you
straight
can't like
off?
really ignore shows like The Good Place, Community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Community's grown up, like blown up massively during the pandemic because it
It
came
was-
to Netflix
yeah, it
on
got
both
Yeah.
America
on Netflix.
and the UK, and
But,
it kind of got a new life.
Hashtag 6 seasons in a movie.
6 seasons in a movie.
Actually, before we get on to discussing individual sitcoms, American sitcoms or British sitcoms? So
What would
I
you
don't-
basically,
I don't
American
see
in
British TV shows as sitcoms. I
Yeah,
see them
I
more
mean,
as.
Gavin and Stacey.
the
is a
in-between
Yeah,
is Gavin
but
and
is it a
Stacey.
sitcom?
IT crowd.
yeah, because you don't have to be like in a live studio audience to be a sitcom. It's just
Yeah.
I think
technically anything that's a comedy show on
It's a
TV. 90% of the time,
sitcom
it's
is a
sitcom.
situational
Yeah.
comedy, so it's
So
just
would you say
anything.
the in-betweeners would be?
Yes.
Yes.
Sitcom, 100%.
American in-betweeners or British in-betweeners?
I
no
don't
you-
think there's any competition.
Have you
No
seen the American in-betweeners?
Yeah.
It's horrendous.
It is very bad.
I
It's
think
very,
that
very
one thing about American sitcoms that I'll give to them is it's more accessible to everyone.
Yeah.
British sitcoms seem to be a bit more specific to British humour that
Yeah.
mostly only British people will understand. Americans will probably find it funny but not really understand
Yeah.
the sort
Yeah.
of context behind it. So like the In-Betweeners, they'll find it funny because it's funny, but we'll get it because
It relates to the
it
UK.
relates.
It's
It relates to
also,
us.
I've found, and I might be wrong with this, but I think because I've watched more American sitcoms, I find American sitcoms, because they're usually longer lasting, British sitcoms usually go to an average, at most, is about 5 seasons, mainly. American sitcoms are usually pushing above 10. or
Mm.
when they're doing well,
Yeah.
and they also deal with a lot more things, a lot more current. Like Brooklyn Nine-Nine is very, very modern.
Yeah,
yeah.
Brooklyn
You know,
Nine-Nine's good.
tackling modern issues. The Good Place is really existential.
It's very in depth.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then like all of them deal with a lot more issues. How Many Mothers is probably one of the most emotional sitcoms you'd probably watch.
Yeah.
So I always find it interesting when those kind of American sitcoms deal with more kind of
And then The Good Place
things.
is a very like different type of
Yeah,
sitcom.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
deals with more.
They
yeah,
also seem to get
Theological.
American sitcoms seem to get picked up by the bigger
Well,
showrunners.
yeah, yeah.
Whereas
A lot of
in
Warner
Britain,
Brothers.
I mean, what we've got
Well,
3 or 4 showrunners really.
Yeah. Michael Schur in America, he's he's responsible for some of the bigger sitcoms. So he's The Office, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Parks and Recreation, The Good Place. He's appeared in a lot, but he's behind a lot of those shows in terms of their success and the writing and stuff. So it is a guy that does a lot of it. But you know, there's more bigger people, and they also probably have usually a much bigger budget because they've got a studio, they've got an audience. They get guest stars more often than any kind of British sitcom has. You could probably name multiple guest stars in Friends, whilst in, you know, Gavin and Stacey, you can't name as many.
Talking of The Good Place, if you don't mind.
Yeah?
The finale, like
Ooh.
we were saying, spoilers,
Yeah.
but the finale for The Good Place was perfect.
Yeah. For me, it was
Truly
everything.
perfect. If you guys were looking for a finale of a show, what are you looking for? Like in terms of closing a series that you've probably watched for years.
In terms of sitcoms, I feel like it's
It should
gotta
be a
s-
collective. type
Yeah.
thing.
There's
'Cause
been
the endings for any kind of show it's always like I think
It's
most
what-
writers have commented on this. It's
Yeah,
pretty
th-
difficult.
Yeah.
So
if like with like endings of like TV shows, people are gonna remember the TV show for the ending because of how it ended.
yeah.
there's a lot of
You can take away any other
Yeah.
episode.
there's a lot of sitcoms, especially American sitcoms that I've watched and that I've watched all the way through that I'm very rarely satisfied with the ending.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
I think Big Bang Theory actually ended quite well.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
kind of rounded
agree.
up.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
It took the elements throughout the show that it needed to have.
And this makes me
Yeah,
sound a
it-
bit wet because I know it's a comedy show, but I did shed a tear
Oh,
at the.
Oh,
at
yeah.
Again, I mean, I don't need to keep saying it, but this is the last time I say it. Spoilers.
spoiler.
With the speech that Sheldon does when he gets the Nobel Prize,
Yeah.
and I think it really shows his character development fully.
yeah,
Because he all the way through the show, he doesn't really fully recognise at the right time the kind of person that he is. He does once it's gone wrong and people are a bit pissed off at him,
Yeah.
but at the end he really honed in on exactly the kind of person that he was.
Yeah.
And didn't he? I swear he was like, "I'm sorry
did,
for
yeah,
for
Yeah.
how I've been all these years."
He did, yeah.
I just think it was perfect. I think.
And then you
Have
had
you
the
seen the-
elevator work at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. It had everything.
It had
that
what the
needed.
key
I-
points it needed.
Has anyone seen that? There's a behind the scenes clip. Well, I say behind the scenes. They filmed the table read of the last episode of The Big Bang Theory,
I haven't seen
and
that.
it was never planned. Like obviously, the script is like, oh, they can stand up. But obviously, they weren't filming anything. But when Jim Parsons delivers the line, each of the cast stand up, and they've all stood there crying,
Yeah.
and
Oh.
it's quite a good, just thing
It was
to
just
watch.
so well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So well written.
Well, if we go back to obviously we're talking about season finales and obviously shows ending. Let's go back to how Game of Thrones
Oh,
ended.
don't get me started.
There's a reason why Game of Thrones
Don't
ended the
get
way
me
it ended.
started.
They
Though.
haven't written the book
They
yet.
haven't written the
haven't
book.
written
They
yet.
had nothing to go off, so they just kind of went AWOL.
That's still no
They also
excuse
did.
for how
Well,
they
no,
ended.
he's written the person because I've never read or
George
seen
R.
Game
R.
of Thrones.
Martin.
Yeah,
I've
he's
not-
written the last book, but he didn't. He wanted the ending to be in the book, not on the TV show.
But-
and the TV show
yeah.
was going to come out before the book.
but the
TV
thing
show, yeah.
is, you can write an ending that makes sense, or you can do what they did, and they were like,
Was it like
what are people not?
significantly
What are
like,
people
rubbish?
not?
Yeah.
Basically, every character does the opposite of what their character should have done
Right.
throughout the whole.
throughout the entire last season.
Obviously, as we said, spoiler alert, but like for the whole entire show, Daenerys Targaryen was the good queen that would change the realms, and she would change the whole entire how Westeros would be made, and she'd be the good queen that everyone always wanted. in the last season she decided to turn her on its head and become the Mad Queen.
Not
Right.
just the men, but
And
the
then-
women
and
and
then-
children too.
Yeah,
She pulls an Anakin
and
Skywalker.
what she does, she just she burns down everything that she's worked for. Like she burns
Right.
down King's Landing because she's unhappy about the fact that she won't get the throne the way that she wanted it, and she was upset that Jon Snow was also Targaryen,
So
was the
that's a
actual
big-
heir of the throne.
Yeah, that's a big reveal in the show, and it goes nowhere.
Jon Snow's
Yeah.
my favourite Channel 4 presenter.
And then
You
comparing it,
film that over there somewhere.
comparing it to another massive drama that ended, I think it ended perfectly. And I know they added something onto the ending. I think it was last year actually. It was Breaking Bad, and I'm not really
Yeah.
going to touch on a lot of spoilers with the show because I
Good show.
yeah, I adore Breaking Bad. I think
Oh, what's it called?
in terms
the
of-
Netflix film.
yeah.
Better Call Saul?
No,
that's
no,
the
no,
spin-off
no,
TV
but
show.
they did spin off, and apparently,
Netflix
and I
film,
haven't
sorry.
seen Better Call Saul, but I hear it is just as good, if not better.
Camilo.
El Camino.
That's it.
El
So yeah,
Camino.
so they ended Breaking Bad perfectly. It rounded up the character arcs of both Jesse and Walter, I think, perfectly.
Yeah.
And then they added the movie, and the movie wasn't necessary. I don't think it was
Wasn't necessary, but it was
because
good.
it left a lot. And I have a couple problems with the movie, but I also think it finished Jesse's arc even better. I think
Yeah.
it perfectly fit his arc. There were scenes in that made, that were quite emotional, and like, because Jesse suffered a lot through the series,
Yeah.
and then you've got the series of him talking to Walter, which if you watch it back, it looks so stupid, like, because obviously Bryan Cranston had his hair back and they put a bald cap on it, and it's so stupid.
I just think.
But also him with I know it's Jessica Jones. I can't remember the character's name.
Doesn't it begin with an M?
Oh God, I feel bad now.
His
Oh my
girlfriend,
God.
Yeah,
basically.
his
Yeah,
girlfriend.
yeah.
Yeah, and there's a scene with that, and watching the series back, you can tell that, like, because I didn't really care about her in the first time I watched it, but the second time I've watched through just her kind of arc,
She
you
was
really
sort of
feel
used-
the connection. She was good for Jesse, but also bad for him.
She was
and-
used as a way to show how bad Walter was as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Especially
Oh,
her.
yeah, when
do
he
I-
just watches
Her die.
yeah.
Mad.
That's a spoiler. But her character is, I think her character is really, really underrated, and like I really appreciated the way they used her character. So bringing her back was also really sweet. and
I don't think I've
quite
been
bittersweet.
so gripped by any TV show
No,
more than I have by
the-
Breaking
Yeah,
Bad.
Breaking Bad. I still think is
Mm.
probably the greatest show that's been
No.
on TV. Greatest drama that's been on
No.
TV anyway.
No,
So what
it's
do you think
great.
is the greatest show?
My favourite's The Sopranos.
Right.
But also, I think The Wire is better than.
I've never seen The Wire.
Breaking Bad. Have you seen The Wire?
I've seen a bit of The Wire. I wasn't a fan of it.
Really, The Wire's great.
Remember, that's just personal. but
Yeah. Oh yeah. I still think Breaking Bad's like great.
Yeah.
However, I think people it's been done better. It's kind of like Game of Thrones, where people think Game of Thrones is the best. I think it's just listen. No, listen.
Season
Game-
1 to 6.
Dan,
Game
I
of
mean-
Thrones was good. It was really good, but it was seriously overhyped.
I got
Yeah.
bored.
I
in the
got
first
bored
10
of it.
minutes.
I really, really got
But
bored
that's
of
the
it. I
thing,
couldn't
though.
10
get
minutes
it
of the
for a long
first
time.
episode.
You can't just like think 10 minutes. That's the entire show.
Yeah.
I mean, not
Yeah,
gonna
no,
lie.
that's true.
I take that
understand
because the first time I watched Breaking Bad, I watched the full first episode. I was like,
It's a real slow
It
burner.
is a slow burner.
it takes till at least episode 3, but I came back months later
So did I.
and carried on watching.
That-
Once you pass that episode 3 of season 1 mark, oh
yeah,
my god.
So I binged the first season in a day, which I don't really regret because I loved it. And then I got halfway through season 2, and I just didn't watch it for months. And then when I got back to it, I binged the rest of the season. And I'm just gonna shift the discussion a bit. I really, really, really like TV shows releasing weekly.
Yeah.
I like binging
No.
stuff, but I really appreciate that because
Doesn't really happen
it really,
anymore.
yeah,
Hate
the,
it.
and shows like The Mandalorian and The Boys and stuff
The
have been
Flash
good-
as well.
and The Flash
Hate it.
and some shows do
Arrow.
it still now, but a lot of
Well,
shows that
not
are
the Arrow
released
anymore.
a lot of shows that are released like on Netflix or Amazon and stuff, they try and encourage you to binge, and I just don't think that has
But
the same,
Netflix are trying
especially
to do that now.
especially Yeah,
With
and
Riverdale, that's every
yeah.
week.
Disney
Yeah,
Plus.
but that's because
No.
Riverdale was originally
Yeah,
on
it's-
ABC,
it's-
was
and
it?
it's
No,
the CW, the
Riverdale,
CW.
Riverdale's
CW.
made by the CW,
Yeah,
but they
CW
don't
network.
have they don't release in Britain, so
Yeah.
Netflix takes it up.
So
That's why we do it weekly, because
What-
it drops
what I-
weekly on the CW.
Same with Lucifer.
What I
It was like the
appreciate-
same
Same
sort of
with-
Yeah,
thing.
what I appreciate about
Lucifer
actors
wasn't
releasing weekly. and
released
getting-
weekly.
I found myself during like lockdown and stuff getting more into sitcoms and stuff because I
Mm.
just didn't have the attention span
Yeah.
for 40-minute
Well,
episodes, and I don't like binging 45-minute episodes. I feel like watching them once a week is so much better.
I think so. I can agree with that because I could watch. Obviously, Game of Thrones is my favorite show, but I could watch now that I've seen them all. Yeah, now now that I've seen them all, I could watch it over and over, but I wouldn't be able to over and over and over do it. But if it was like the new season when it came out, I could just.
See, my
I would
attention
look
span is
forward to
weird.
it every
It's
week.
like that.
My
for-
attention span
for
is
Doctor
weird
Who
because
for
I
me.
can watch 4 episodes of a show back to back. That could probably be about 2 hours, 2.5 hours, all in all. But my attention span to watch a film is significantly different.
I think
Yeah,
because when you're
same.
watching like a TV episode, pretty much all that, if you put it this way, all that action that might be in like an hour and a half TV, like film even, is condensed to 45 minutes. So there's not as much to pay attention to. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah,
You
yeah,
know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas, or like, you can sort of, if you get bored at like after like 2-3 episodes of a TV show, and it's sort of like running a storyline through more episodes, and that you can leave it at a break, and it's kind of a natural stopping point. Whereas a film, you kind of have to sit for the hour and a half, 2 hours, even like 3 hours, and just sit and watch it. There's no real natural stopping point
Maybe
to
I
go
get,
back.
Maybe I get a bit of slack for this, but I'm able to watch films, and I know we should be sticking to TV, but I'm able to watch films in segments, and I know a lot of people can't, but I can. I can watch a film. I can
Yeah.
watch a film, especially if it's a film, because I do this more
Yeah.
comfortably with a film I've already seen before,
Yeah.
because I enjoy rewatching, which is why like when I'm watching TV, I always come back to like Doctor Who and stuff, because it's something I grew up on.
So I'm gonna circle back round to today's main topic. We'll call it the main topic for today.
Well, we've got
Uh,
two main topics,
main.
so
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we're
I
going to
think-
get onto
I
this before.
think,
We had a
yeah.
nice discussion about automotive stuff, but back to the main topic. Friends, How I Met Your Mother, Big Bang Theory, and
Just sitcoms.
sitcoms in general. Those are the big three.
Yeah.
We'll go with.
I have something controversial to say.
Ooh.
He's going to start a
Right.
massive argument.
I actually am, because I know people are very much going to disagree with me.
I already know what he's going to say.
I
Oh, I know what
think
he's gonna
that
say.
Yeah,
in
yeah.
terms of character development, Big Bang Theory was better than Friends.
Oh my god, that's so.
Only because
I'm gonna
here's
say-
my
I'm gonna agree.
justification. Here is my justification. Ross turns into a bit of a weirdo towards the end of Friends. Also, I can't name one character who significantly changed across the whole course of Friends.
Can I just say, Raj in The Big Bang Theory has no change whatsoever. After he's
He
able,
does.
after he's able to speak to women, right? Nothing is done
Yeah, but
with
the other
his
char-
character.
the other
no,
characters do.
No, yeah, but nothing's done with his character.
There is.
No,
There's
no, there
the
isn't.
change with Raj is he goes from being this like weird, awkward, like token foreign guy in the group
Yeah.
to like, and he relies on his parents and he's awkward with women and stuff. But by the end of it, he's like a successful astrophysicist.
Astrophysicist, but isn't it?
Astrophysicist. Like obviously he doesn't get married by the end of it.
Yeah,
he
yeah.
realizes that's not for him.
But the thing, no, it's not though. But the thing with Raj is he's the hopeless romantic of the group.
Yeah.
If anyone out of all of them should have gotten married, it should have been Raj. He should have had the happy ending that he deserved. No, he should have though. He's literally the hopeless romantic. He's the guy.
Yeah,
that
but then
watches
you could say
Bridget
that they were
Jones'
just-
Diary.
Well,
They were just straying
I
away
mean, you
from
can compare that
cliche.
to
Yeah, but there's-
How I Met Your Mother. See, I personally prefer How I Met Your Mother over those other two. Now,
Yes.
I've just got more controversial
no,
things
no,
to say.
no,
that
yeah,
people
no,
aren't
no,
gonna
no. I know people do not like the ending, and fair enough.
It was
Okay,
rubbish.
It
Yeah.
was the worst
Okay,
ending
okay.
to TV
Let me-
ever.
allow me to explain. See, had the ending not happened, the character development for all of them was pretty solid. You got
Solid as
Ted
Yeah.
meeting the mother. Barney came round from being the playboy to, getting married, and Robin, they worked. And I remember watching it,
Yeah.
and I knew that they
Robin and
that Barney were
Robin,
going to get
Barney.
married.
The-
Yeah.
I think Robin
So-
and Ted worked a lot.
Yeah.
I
better.
did like it, but
No,
then I
they
feel like they
didn't, though,
played it
because-
too much that it didn't work at the start. So I was like,
Can I just jump in with something? The problem, how I love How I Met Your Mother.
So
It's
do
one
I.
of my
I
favourite
One of my
adore it.
favourite
And
shows.
to be
one of my
fair,
favourites.
really good.
I sort of get the ending.
so do I.
But the problem that they ended up in is there's 9 seasons.
Yeah.
They thought they were going to get cancelled after season 2,
Yes,
so
they did.
they
wrote an ending.
they wrote an ending and
Yeah.
they filmed an ending
Yeah.
in season 2, which meant when they got to season 9 and all this character development had happened and like Barney and Robin and
I wonder who the mother was that they chose in season 2.
May I cut in
it
quickly?
was
Uh,
meant to be Victoria.
May I cut in quickly though?
Yeah.
We say that oh well they cut the they did the best they could. From season 2 they knew how it was ending. As they wrote the seasons and the characters developed, at some point one of the writers should have been like,
Yeah.
remember this ending
think-
we
Yeah.
had?
I think
Maybe
they-
we should
It
steer
had,
it more
it had,
towards
it
I
had
that.
think they-
really solid writers as well.
Yeah.
Like Phil Lord and Chris Miller.
They
who
did
were
they did
amazing
sort of
writers.
write themselves into a corner
Yeah.
with
No, but they
filming
had
everything
more
in
than
season
enough
1 and 2.
time to work it out. Because
Yeah.
say season 4,
I think
you've had 2 seasons where the characters have grown from that point. They
doesn't
should have been
he
like
get married or almost get married in
Who?
season Ted. Like there's a
Yes, he
marriage
does.
with
He does.
Stella.
He does.
He
in
does.
season
I
three
liked
and
that.
four.
I liked that arc. I think it kind
Yeah.
of made
Doing
sense.
That's
for
my
Ted.
I'll be
He
honest,
was very
that's probably my
important.
least
In
favourite
Atlantic City or
season,
something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that, right?
Yeah.
My problem with the ending is, and I feel like they could have made the Robin and Ted thing work
No.
a bit better. And there are some deleted scenes that kind
Yeah.
of make it work more. Is my problem with the ending is they rushed it. Like you
There-
said,
there's-
Doesn't
they
he do
thought
the
they were
blue
gonna-
horn at the end?
Yes,
Yeah,
he
he
does.
gets the
So,
best
so
one.
you thought that kind of makes it a bit bittersweet. You thought they were going to get cancelled, and also they were gearing up to be cancelled around season 9. So they
Yeah.
I think they wanted an extra season just to kind of reach the point.
It
I
did
think-
feel like that. You could tell
think-
because
Yeah.
the whole
Season
the
9
whole storyline
yeah.
was very well spread out
Yeah.
across
When-
the
I love
8 seasons at the
yeah,
beginning.
Some parts are really, really clever. You're like,
8
oh,
seasons,
that
yeah.
kind of connects back to
But
that
then
or that.
the season 9 felt so cramped.
Yeah,
That's why the ending is,
Well,
I think, is bad for who the
season-
mother was,
yeah.
because it just feels so much like.
She was a really good mother, though.
She
There you
was.
go.
I
Yeah.
love
Can I
her.
just
I
interrupt?
really, really,
Kristen
really
Milioti
like the
is
mother.
great.
Yeah.
As I was saying, I think seasons 1 to 8 were very well spread out in terms of storyline.
yeah.
Nothing felt too rushed. Nothing felt too like cramped or anything like that. But season 9, you can tell that they were gearing up for the show to be cancelled because it just felt so crammed. Not crammed, but very rushed.
Yeah.
It just felt like they just sort of went, "Oh, that seems like a good storyline for who the mother was. There you go."
Yeah,
I think it was a bit weird how they introduced them. They introduced the mother to us properly at the end of season 8,
So they
and
teased
then
it, yeah.
and then season 9 obviously is when Ted technically meets the mother, but they technically only meet on like episode 20.
Oh,
Yeah,
after
like
2021,
yeah, one of the
and
last.
and then a few
yeah.
episodes later, she's dead.
Well, the
Whoa,
main
spoilers.
well, the main issue with the last season is it's across like what? It's 2 days, it's a weekend. It's
Yeah,
across
it's a
2. They
wedding
did a whole
weekend.
season across a weekend.
Mm.
There's a lot to
And
happen in a weekend.
the writers know that in the final episode they're undoing the whole wedding. So the entire last season, which should have focused on Ted and the mother, focused on Barney and Robin, just to that completely be undone in the last episode, as well as every other character. Barney goes from being a playboy to, in the last episode, he goes back to being a playboy, has a child, then goes back to where he was. It's like he literally like
Yeah,
zigzags.
he's like
Ted goes back to being the exact same character. Robin, exact same character. The only ones who don't change is Marshall and Lily, and that's because they're the same character throughout the show.
But I like that. I like the
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
But they needed to stay.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
every
Yeah.
other character,
To be fair,
they went back to their default.
Yeah.
Marshall and Lily's character development happened season 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they were planning on that already being the ending.
Yeah.
Because they ended
yeah.
up with because they split at the end of season
Yeah,
1.
Yeah.
Lily
And
goes
then-
off to do a painting.
Yeah.
She goes to
the
Chicago.
art
I
school.
think
And they build them up a bit like around as becoming parents, and they did
Yeah.
that really, really well. I liked, and then I think that's kind of where they needed to sum
If
up,
we
and then
talk
we're just there
about,
to support them, and they were really good characters still.
Just-
Like there's a lot of like emotional arc with like
Oh, yeah.
Marshall's dad
Marshall's
and stuff.
dad.
Yeah.
Lily's
really
yeah,
good
dad.
episode.
just while we're on
What was
the
that?
great thing about How I Met Your Mother, and it's why it's one of my favourite shows, is it's incredibly funny for a lot of it, but
Oh,
then
yeah.
there's these moments and these scenes of just like incredible either like acting or just like emotional potency.
Yeah.
Like there's this obviously the episode where Marshall's dad passes, where they never told Jason Segel,
Yeah.
that was the end. The original ending that he got was Lily steps out the cab and announces she's pregnant, because obviously that's the entire episode.
So he's all
pretty much.
excited.
Is
Yeah,
he
you can
did-
tell when you watch it that he's
Yeah.
like all giddy and he's
yeah,
excited.
and then when they actually filmed it, they had one take, and they just told Jason to run with whatever happens.
Yeah.
And she steps out the car and goes, "Your dad's dead." That's an incredible scene, and there's also the scene.
Improv acting is some of the best. I mean,
Yeah,
I know
it
it's
makes
not,
for some of the best TV.
I know it's not a recent TV show, and you guys know that I really like this show anyway. But Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Oh, Fresh
Yeah.
Prince.
One of
is-
I'm gonna throw it out there. Probably one of the best scenes
Oh.
in a
Is it the
TV
one
show
where
that
Will
there's
Smith
ever been,
shouts at his
Yeah.
and
uncle?
it's the Will Smith like "Why Is My Father Left?"
Yes,
That was,
yeah,
that was Will Smith.
I rewatched
actually
that
about his
scene the
dad.
other
Like,
day.
it genuinely gives me goosebumps every time I read it, and
Every
it was
time.
because James Avery, and I've seen it in an interview, Will Smith was saying he saw James Avery as a mentor, because at the time Will was a new actor, he was making his music. He would go to James Avery, who plays Uncle Phil, for support, so he would play him his new music. James Avery would be like, not quite good enough. Not quite good
There's
enough.
a similar.
They'd go through scenes, he'd be like, it's not quite good enough. It got to that scene, and they did it loads of times, and he was like, no. Each time, no. And he went, don't act around me, act with me. And that the one that made it to TV was him just talking to James Avery or Uncle Phil in the scene, and he just went with it. And I remember with the same interview, it was when he finally did it, he was like, when there's the hug at the end, when Uncle Phil pulls Will into the hug, James Avery whispers in his ear and he just goes, "That's fucking acting right there."
Yeah.
And like that's what I mean. Like it's just when because obviously it was guided, they knew what they were going to talk about, but he just put emotion into it, and it's just like it's the same with the Marshall scene. It's just pure
there's
emotion.
A scene similar. It has to somewhat be like influenced by the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air in How I Met Your Mother, and a lot of How I Met Your Mother's great scenes. Neil Patrick Harris, who's obviously a great actor. Great magician, great actor. But when he finally meets his dad for the first time, there's a scene where he realizes his dad's called his new son, Jerome Jr.
Yeah.
His dad's name's Jerome, and he goes to take the hoop down, and he shouts at his dad, pretty much similar to what Will Smith says in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, like, why weren't you around to do all this for me when you've got a new life?
See, I've done it in such the wrong way with How I Met Your Mother, because obviously in the UK we get it on E4, so it's you sort of switch on the TV, and if it's an episode of How I Met Your Mother, you'll watch it, or you've got the rotation of the
on
Goldbergs,
Netflix.
How I Met Your Mother, and Big Bang Theory.
Friends
But
and Melissa and Joey. And
I
Baby Daddy.
haven't seen Melissa and Joey is quite good.
Yeah.
It's so bad that it's so.
Remember,
good.
like just staying home from school, turning on E4,
Yeah.
and it's just sitcoms after sitcoms, and just
But
laughing.
I've not seen all of How I Met Your Mother, but it's one of those ones, and I think this is a credit to how good the writing is. You can watch episodes here and there and still fully understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I
But
think-
I haven't seen that.
So-
I've seen the episode with Barney and his dad.
But one of the
Yeah.
first episodes of How I Met Your Mother I remember
Is it Barney?
watching.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
one of the
Barney.
first episodes I remember watching is it's like the race across New York or something,
Oh,
where
it's great.
it's in one of the later seasons where I think it's just after Barney and Quinn's relationship falls apart.
Yeah.
It's when Marshall and Lily are trying to have kids, and Robin's trying to get a job, and they end up there's this massive competition to see who can get across New York the fastest to a restaurant or something. But it explains everything with a backstory.
Isn't
Yeah.
Bryan
Yeah, it's
Cranston in
great.
it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
That's
Yeah.
the
the
first
architect.
episode I ever watched, was the
Yeah,
architect
he-
episode.
Yeah.
That's because Bryan Cranston, before Breaking Bad, fun fact about him, he was originally a comedy actor.
Yeah.
He did Malcolm in the Middle.
Right.
So
Yeah.
before Breaking Bad, they didn't really have any faith in it. The studio, when he was hired for Breaking Bad, they were like, "Why is he doing this? He's a comedy actor."
But now he's transformed
and he
into a drama
blew them
actor.
away with it.
Mm.
He is incredible. He's probably one of my favorite actors as well,
Do
because
you
I find
reckon?
him so underrated. He's incredible, and he's a funny guy anyway.
I mean, unless anybody else wants to cut in, I want to have this debate with Jack about Friends versus Big Bang Theory, because I feel like it could get quite interesting.
to Movie
So yeah, sorry again, guys, for technical difficulties.
Big Bang Theory shit.
He's straight in with the first hook.
Right.
I didn't say that. He said that.
Oh no, I say it.
I like Big Bang Theory, so
Theory
I can
is-
back you up if you need.
No.
Shit.
No, can you back me up with this?
I can back
I
you
think-
up.
And Sam can back me up as well.
I don't think
But-
it's better than Friends, but
It's not
I
better
like
than
both.
Not
I
bad.
just think, yeah,
Harry, what do
you
you think?
I can
mentioned.
play devil's advocate.
I understand and I respect the influence of Friends. However, I think it's sort of the formula. Can I call it? I'm going to call it the formula was
Wait,
improved
I
upon.
think-
So
by
Sam,
Big
did
Bang
Friends
no
is-
one tell your life was going to be this way?
So I
You
think.
can't say Big Bang Theory is better than
No, right,
yeah,
Jack,
yeah,
Jack.
exactly.
I think Friends is funnier. Don't get me wrong. I
Way
think it's
funnier.
funnier, but I just think you've got to admit they made Ross weird. Chandler didn't really change much at the end.
Yes, he did.
No, he didn't.
Yes,
he
he
did.
did.
How?
Yes,
he
he
became
did.
a loner
He got married.
to becoming a dad.
He was supposed. Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, but in terms of his actual character, like him himself.
He wasn't a flawed character though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
he
just
was at the
Flaw-
beginning.
and
No,
his
he
flaw-
was
no, but
never
his
flawed.
flaw
It
was
was
he was a bit like
his
irresponsible and he was a loner. It
yeah,
wasn't his
that
fault.
was his flaw.
Yeah.
And then they
And then he
completed
connected with
that.
someone.
The only person they really messed up was Ross and Rachel.
Yeah.
Everyone
I mean,
else.
they definitely turned Ross.
Also-
Ross was just a creep.
Jo-
Also, the relationship
Joey-
between Ross and Monica towards the end is very weird because they're brother and sister, but they just made there was little bits in there that just made it. I mean, I swear, didn't they try and allude that Monica and Ross's first kiss was each other?
Yes, they did. They had
Yeah.
a joke
They
about
did,
that. I
yeah.
found
It
that
was
a
really
joke.
weird.
That was-
It's
Yeah.
just weird.
I mean, it was a
Listen,
joke.
but-
I mean,
but-
you can't.
Yeah, but there's a similar
If-
joke in the Big Bang Theory.
Can I no? But can
Is
I
there?
just
Sheldon's
can I
first kiss being with his sister.
can I just cut in though
Texas
that
party.
the Big Bang
Very
Theory's
standard.
best episode isn't as good as like
Yeah.
Friends' best episode.
What would you say the
By a
Friends best
mile.
episode
Also,
is?
Friends has some
Friend-
of the funniest
Friends
moments
has
on TV.
some of the best episodes in TV.
Yeah.
Like literally, like my personal favorite. It's probably not the best one, but my personal favorite is the quiz to see who gets the apartment.
Oh,
my-
right,
my-
yeah.
So
One of my
good.
favourites is the one where they're late and then it's Joey putting all of Chandler's clothes on.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
It's really
yeah.
competitive.
Yeah,
It's
that's-
so funny.
One,
And
of,
that's-
my, one of my
I honestly
favourites
think
is the poker game in the first. Is it the
Yeah.
first season?
Yeah,
it's the first
yeah.
season.
But
Yeah,
I think I think honestly those three are some of the funniest moments in TV ever.
Yeah, it's
And it's just the scenes
so-
that they pick
yeah.
in
Just
the
scenes. Yeah, they
It's
just do it so
great.
well.
One of my favourite scenes from Friends is where you have Chandler locked with like the supermodel.
Oh, yeah,
that is
yeah,
so
yeah,
there
yeah.
with the gum. Yeah,
Look at that. Look at this divide.
Such
No,
joke.
Look
to be
at-
honest, I'm willing
look.
for my mind to be changed.
Look at this divide. Look at this divide.
I'm
right people, the
fully
wrong people.
I am fully willing for my opinion to be changed.
Okay.
And to be honest, now that I think back, because I would rewatch Friends again
So would I.
because I've only watched it
Oh,
once all the way through.
I've only seen
I
it
think,
once from
to be
once,
honest,
and-
more that now that I
yeah.
think about it more, and I'll hold my hands up. Friends is probably better.
Yeah,
I'm getting.
Wait,
yeah.
I'm going to be honest here. I'm incredibly biased considering I've never watched like more than like 2 episodes.
Yeah.
of
So
Friends.
right.
So no one
so
told him life
my
was going to be this
so my
way.
opinion
I've seen, like,
my opinion was
I've
more
seen,
valid because
Your
I've
job's a
seen
joke, yeah, bro.
both.
yeah.
Yeah.
You can't
I've-
compare the two because you've only seen
I've
2.
sat and like casually
episodes.
watched
Listen.
Friends if it's been on TV and been like.
Yeah.
They
The-
stopped
Like
showing it
most
on
people
TV
watch it.
It was
ages
Well, it's
ago.
because they added it to Netflix.
Netflix.
And
Well,
they
Yeah,
were
but it's
like-
still on
It made
Comedy
n-
Central.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
It made
still is on
Netflix
Central.
so much money.
Yeah.
It makes
Made
the
Primark
actors-
so much money.
It's not going to be on though. It's going on to
yeah.
HBO
Going
Max.
to HBO.
They made
I think that's in
they made
America. Or is it still in
150
America?
million
Is it,
last
are we
year.
getting HBO Max? In
Don't
America?
not
don't
sure.
the
I don't
actors
think so.
make for every
Oh.
rerun on TV?
Oh, yeah,
they
they're
make
like- they're
5
balling.
million
They're sorted for
pound
life.
Yeah.
for
With-
every
pound.
with
rerun.
Jennifer
or
Aniston's
dollars.
Friends, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she went on. She like finally joined
Jennifer Aniston,
Instagram
though.
and immediately
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, her
got
first
the most liked
her
photo.
first
Selfie
photo
with the
was
friend.
was
Yeah,
a
friends
bit risque because people thought that there was cocaine on the table.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And obviously, what's his name, Chandler.
Matthew Perry.
Matthew
Matthew
Perry.
Perry had a big drug problem, which you can
Yeah.
see between it's either 5 and 6 or 6 and 7.
Mm.
He's
gets,
large,
Yeah.
and then the next season in the break he went into rehab, so he was really skinny.
Yeah.
And like just look, like he battled a lot through
Yeah.
Friends.
Have you
100%.
have you seen the interview where he talked about why he doesn't do like photo shoots anymore?
No.
So he did a photo shoot with like models, and obviously he was talking about how he got turned on. So
Right.
he went back to his house, and obviously he watched some adult content, but he
Yeah.
didn't realise he left his speakers outside on.
Oh,
So like to all his neighbours,
no.
so he said he can never
No.
go to a shoot anymore because it reminds him of that, and he's just too embarrassed.
Oh
He
no.
is. He's actually doing his first movie in a long time
Oh,
with
is
Adam
he?
McKay with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Mm.
Did
Jennifer
he?
Lawrence.
What film is it?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, the new
it's like
comedy that's
there's
gonna be coming out. It
loads
looks really,
of
really good.
like
Really good
famous
cast.
actors in it.
Did
Ariana
they-
Grande,
has
isn't
the
Yeah, I
reunion
remember.
ever- there was a
So,
film reunion.
okay,
that
so they're-
happened,
yeah.
that gets stopped
So they're
because-
meant to be filming it, and I think they are filming. We don't know. They've still not really confirmed if it's an episode or if it's a.
What's your favourite In Betweeners episode, everyone?
Oh, favourite in between is
Okay, wait. All right, we'll start with Sam.
Yeah,
Goes back to
you got to
Michael.
go back round.
All right, we'll start
I
with
have
you.
seen it.
Mine is either the first episode,
first
Oh, the
episode.
first episode.
or
Friends.
the Friends. The like jumping up on top of the car.
Okay. Harry.
Well, there's quite a few to choose from, but I kind of like the last one where they go
Yeah.
camping,
Oh, that's
and I
great,
kind
yeah.
of
Stop burning my things.
yeah.
Burning
And I like,
possessions.
oh, it's been so long since I've watched it.
Yeah. so-
The one where Will shits himself.
Oh
Oh wait,
In
no.
the
There's
exam.
also the
In the exam,
the one where he's like, "Thanks, Phil," and he's like,
Oh yeah.
sorry,
Oh,
Phil.
that's a Christmas party.
That's
Yeah.
the Christmas party.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm sorry.
What's your favourite, James?
Well, I think I should mention that there isn't a bad episode of The In-Between.
No,
Every
there
single
isn't.
episode
Yeah,
is
there isn't.
great.
There's only
Really.
3 seasons.
Three
like,
seasons.
Six
innit?
episodes
Yeah, there's
in
not
it.
that- I
And
thought
the
that
two
was
films.
more.
I think one of my favourites has got to be the one where Simon and his real life wife, what's her name again?
Tara.
Simon
They
and
go to
Garfunkel.
they go to have sex. You know, like they go to like
Oh,
his sister's
yeah.
house,
Oh,
and he's
you
there like,
can't get it
why
out.
won't you work? You work whenever I don't want you to work.
Get big, Alex.
Neil.
I really like the Olsen Towers episode.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
so.
it's
Paul
Park.
Inconsiderate assholes. They're all like.
Yeah, I think that's the first episode I saw. 'Cause I used to be
That's-
like,
yeah,
doing a
so-
theme park
yeah,
and
I
everything.
think
Yeah.
some of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
most I think In-Betweeners for a British show has the most iconic and
Mm.
referenceable lines.
No, I think Only Fools and Horses does as well.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
only
no,
Fools and
No, but I mean
Horses.
for our generation.
Yeah.
Oh right, I was
Can I
gonna
get
say.
back
So
to
you're
that?
on about Brit.
Yeah, because you've got
Dad's
like,
Blackadder,
All
yeah.
Friends,
Fawlty Towers.
I think
Bus
I
Wankers.
personally think In Between
Alright.
connects most with our generation
Yeah.
because it
I've
came
got
out
me-
and we kind of grew up watching it. Obviously,
The
people who were
Bunkoff
that
one's
age
great as well.
when it came out loved it, but like
Oh,
we've
you
I've got my favourite.
Oh, the modelling one.
Oh, with the You think that's funny, do you?
The one where he,
bit like Summer Halloween.
the one, isn't it the one where he insults the
Do we risk
guy in the
putting up a
guy,
photo
the
of
guy
Sam
in
from
the
Halloween?
wheelchair?
The guy in the
Yeah.
wheelchair, yeah.
That, to be fair, not my favourite episode. My favourite episode's the one where they go on a trip somewhere.
Oh.
With Lovin.
Lauren!
Oh,
It's
Lauren.
always like feisty one. You are.
Where they end up in a boat. Simon ends up naked.
He's just
and there's
punching a fish to
fish,
death.
Well, is it
Hi,
is it
Carly. He's
in
got his sock on his coat.
Yeah.
is it in the film or is it in the actual show when he's on the Skype call to the
It's in the-
internet
Oh, it's in the
model?
film.
Until
He's
the
like,
snorkel
tell
on
me
with
you
the
love
ham.
me. And his whole mum, she's like, Jay, goes, Jay, your grandfather died. And he's just
Oh, don't forget the episode where Benji gets put down.
Oh,
that's so funny. Where he kicks the door of that old woman. It's like fucking Mrs. Springett.
Yeah.
Do you know the one who plays Charlotte? What's her name?
Oh,
Emily?
Emily
Emily
Atack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do
She's
you know
on
she's
there,
the reason why
Celebrity.
they didn't carry on the seasons?
Really?
Because she felt like she was getting just.
Oh yeah, she. I mean,
Doesn't
she
she only
was just
appear
being
in, like, the fir-
objectified.
Yeah,
Doesn't
she
she
was
only
being
appear in like the first
objectified.
2 seasons?
No, she's in all
What's
three.
her
in all of
character's
them.
name again?
Charlotte Big Jug.
Charlotte Hinchcliffe.
Charlotte Big Jugs.
Yeah,
Charlotte.
people used to just go up to her in the street, Emily Attack, and just go, "All right, Charlotte,
Is
big
it-
jugs."
Yeah,
Yeah.
but so does
I
Carly
know-
gets objectified pretty much.
I'll be honest.
Oh.
She's an Emmerdale.
One of the things where Simon's drunk and he goes up into the room and it's her brother's room.
Can we also just say that we don't condone objectifying women?
Can I,
Yeah.
No, it's
can I-
not
ju-
funny.
It's not funny.
just back on this Emily Atack thing. Like, I'll be honest, even with In-Betweeners, I know her more from I'm a Celebrity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly,
Really?
so have I. Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I watched her on I'm a Celebrity before I ever actually watched The In-Betweeners.
Oh,
I
no.
watched
wow.
Really?
I watched The In-Betweeners quite recently.
I mean, at
Oh.
least he's seen it.
But
Yeah, I've seen them.
At least
I watched them. Might have been like the start of lockdown because they're on all 4. I ended up going back and watching them, but I saw Emily Atack on I'm a Celebrity before that.
Should we watch In Between Us movie night tonight, lads?
Yes, lads.
Yeah.
I think that's a
You
good
do
idea.
realise we are still on a podcast. Why are we talking about what
I'm
Well-
just saying.
Most
Personality,
nights
guys,
we do a
personality.
movie night.
I think
so.
that is actually the perfect segue to end today's episode discussing
I think
our
that's a good
plans
place to end
I
it,
think it's a
yeah.
good
for
place
the
to end
evening.
it.
We're gonna go
Cheers, guys.
and watch the In Betweeners movie. But yeah,
So,
thanks
for
guys.
listening and watching
Uh,
episode 2 of the Northern Spotlight
Yeah,
podcast.
we'll see
Yeah.
you same time next
Please
week.
like, subscribe.
Oh,
Peace.
and
See you
hope
later,
to see
guys.
you again soon.
Goodbye.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just be Stevie Wonder, pretend to be blind.
Stevie Wonder was blind. He didn't pretend to be
Is.
blind.
What do you